Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks here for our Week 4 Folly Row recap show. A great week of football again, lots of big games across the state. Jerel, we saw a massive 5A matchup up here in Boiling Springs, but just some great action all across the Palmetto State.
I would say this is probably the most entertaining week that we've had, keeping up with the games across the state this week. So a lot of fun, man. I like this time, the mixture between those, still having those non-region games, getting into region play in some areas, cross-class matchups. You got all kinds of stuff happening right now. So it's a lot of fun. Bye weeks, everything's getting thrown at us, but it was a lot of fun. And let's go ahead and get into the recap.
For sure. As always, guys, check us out on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Podcast available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Website, movinchains.com. We do a weekly preview show Tuesday nights about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube. Love to have you guys join us for that. We do our recap show here on our podcast platforms. Goes out on Sundays or Monday mornings. We do teams of the week, games of the week, coach interviews. Lots of really good stuff. Got a really good coach interview coming this week for you guys from one of the most exciting games back in week 4. We'll drop that one probably on Wednesday or Thursday for you, but get your merch as well. We got Moving the Chains hats, t-shirts, hoodies, toboggans, lots of really good stuff. Richardson brand hats, like high quality Gildan t-shirts and hoodies, like very nice stuff. Get ready to support the boys here. You can email us mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can message us on Facebook or Twitter, whatever's better for you. We'd love to have you guys supporting us and helping us make the show bigger and better. But Jerel, before we get into the games, let's do a quick shout out to some friends of the program.
Need a new ride to get you to the big game? Founders Federal Credit Union has auto loan rates that'll get you in the driver's seat without breaking the bank. And here's the best part. No payment for up to 90 days. Drive to victory with a loan that suits your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto today and score your dream car with an auto loan from Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Member qualification required.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, Jerel, our Kona games of the week for short there. Let's roll through those, go through those 5 big ball games and give those a quick breakdown.
It's a lot of fun because we get to start at the game that we caught on Friday night, and that was Gaffney rolling into Boiling Springs. This game had a little bit of everything. We had, special teams, touchdowns. We had ejections. We had coaches leaving. We had a fantastic band performance at halftime. But the football on the field was outstanding as well. Gaffney wins an overtime thriller to open up the Region 2 5A slate, winning it 28-22 in walk-off fashion. Kevin, I'm kind of speechless even a couple days later after, how interesting this game was. But it was a situation where at the end of the day, Gaffney's still Gaffney. They found a way to win, typical Gaffney fashion, as they like to say, but some fantastic football on both sides.
Really exciting, really entertaining. I came away, I would say, impressed with both teams, especially on the defensive side of the football. Gaffney, we know they're always big, strong, physical, and they made it really hard for Boiling Springs to move the football. That first drive, the Bulldogs go down, take a 7-0 lead, but they had a couple big penalties on that drive to kind of get them down there and help them to score. Lincoln Husky did look good on that drive after that, kind of struggled a little bit here and there. They had a big turnover that set them up for another touchdown at one point. Bowling Springs did, so never really drove the football a ton on that Indians defense. And then on the flip side, that Bowling Springs defense, man, they flustered Javon Gilmore while he was in there. I think he threw 2 picks, maybe 3 picks in that first half before he came out of the game there. A couple of them that just were bad decisions, really. The defensive line really was owning the line of scrimmage. The Gaffney run game could not get going at all. In that football game, just played really well on that side of the ball. I felt like for the Bulldogs and Coach Real's squad, but like you said, just too much firepower from Gaffney. I mean, they didn't really drive the ball either. They had big plays for touchdowns. They had a 99-yard touchdown pass to Jamarcus Smith, a 98 or 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown from Smith. Just getting it done. And they had probably a 60-something yarder from Davidson as well. Was their third big play there for a TD. So they didn't really drive it much either. It was just two defenses playing really, really hard. And giving their offensive chances, but just neither offense could seem to really, really take hold of that football game.
Most definitely. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head here. I mean, this game was 22-14 at half with the Gaffney advantage. Yeah. But again, like both defenses just played so well on the Gaffney side, all three levels. I mean, they just got after it, linebackers coming downhill, D-line, doing well. And then the secondary was just locking up any of the Bowling Springs players there. And then when it came to Bowling Springs, man, that defensive front, they were so fast, so physical, just disrupted everything you said. You mentioned, Gaffney throwing a couple picks with Javon Gilmore there. I mean, but a lot of that was coming due to the pressure. I mean, and then you mentioned the big plays. That is what won Gaffney the game because they did not drive the game. You had a 99-yard touchdown where, a half a second sooner. I mean, Javon Gilmore is getting destroyed as he throws this football.
Hanging in there to do that.
I mean, but Jamarcus Smith, the playmaker there, the hero of this game, gets open and takes it to the house. There's no safety help, so he wins that. You had Shane Davidson literally on a, out route little hitch, breaking a tackle and going 64. You also had Smith again with a 99-yard kickoff return. The only other touchdown was a 10-yard TD run, when he was playing Wildcat quarterback, in that game. So, I mean, the Bowling Springs front held up really well. Two great defenses, two fantastic teams, two, very, very well coached ball clubs. I will say one thing that really stuck out to me as I thought about this game over the weekend, when we were on the field, doing our prep work, and when Gaffney was doing their prep work, getting ready for the game, the last thing they worked on was securing the football, like fumble recovery situations, where the coaches were literally throwing a ball at their defensive guys and they were recovering fumbles. That was the play of the game in overtime. A pitch that is dropped and is recovered on the sideline because of that attention to detail. And that was literally kind of the difference in that football game there. But it was a fantastic one. Very emotional. We didn't even touch on that when it comes to the ejections, some pregame stuff that led to it. But very emotional. No love lost, especially after the game. We saw a flag planted. But yeah, man, it was what you would expect, over in that region between two teams that are going to make some noise, throughout the rest of the regular season into the postseason.
I think we do have to hit on it. If you guys have not seen on social media, like there was an ejection. There was a situation in the third quarter. Javon Gilmore for Gaffney kind of rolling out, running the football, gets tackled, kind of goes into the Bowling Springs bench there. There was a little bit of a skirmish there. We couldn't see what happened from our angle. We were kind of down on that sideline and had no idea what happened, but comes to find out that a coach was ejected for Bowling Springs. Gilmore was ejected for Gaffney. I don't know. That's all we can really say. I don't.
If you're listening to this podcast, you've probably seen the video.
Yeah, so, you can find the video. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, go watch it for yourself. Make your own, conclusions there.
Sure.
But not sure what that's going to mean for next week. I don't know if Gaffney will try to appeal that. I don't know if he's out. Will be out for the full game. If not, I don't know how the high school ejections work, but certainly a big loss if he can't play. We said it before, Jerel, on the preview show this week, that we think that was probably for the region title. That was what we think were the two best teams in Region 2-5A, and it certainly lived up to the hype there. But great ball game. We do have to probably touch on overtime as well. Bowling Springs comes out, gets the ball first, incomplete pass, first down, second down, get a pretty nice run down to like the 4-yard line. Run a little option pitch there with Husky, pitches it. Not the best pitch, but the running back can't quite get a handle on it. Gaffney defender makes a great recovery as he's going out of bounds. There was some, controversy there if he got it before he was in bounds, out of bounds. I don't know either. They said he recovered it in bounds there, so Gaffney takes over. First play, Jamarcus Smith, who takes over at quarterback once Gilmore comes out, runs it in for a 10-yard touchdown and a walk-off win there for the Indians. But overall, fantastic ball game. Saw a lot of great things, a lot of great plays, a lot of great, playmakers, a lot of great atmosphere, things like that, but not great concessions. So we'll say that for next Friday. But everything else was very nice, right, Jerel?
That's right. And it's fine. Maybe they just got a little work to do. Maybe we caught them on an off night.
Sure. I thought mine was fine. You didn't love it. I don't know.
I didn't love it, but that's okay because we had great hospitality there. Very welcoming environment. At the crowd there was fantastic on both sides as you expect. Just so gracious to have the ability to go cover these games and be given the access. So, while the hot dog was not the best that I've had, still was a fantastic, time over there at Bowling Springs. All right. Well, let's move on to our next game. And that was R&E in Camden. This is one that we talked about heavily on Tuesday, and it kind of lived up to the billing as well. But R&E, man, they break through, They relied on their defense. They also relied on their stud quarterback, Will Wilson, to pull them through, winning this game 26-15. We learned on the sidelines of our game that Camden was dealing with a big-time injury that I'm sure, kind of hurt them on both sides of the ball. But make no mistake, this Cavaliers team is very good, and that is a fantastic way for them to win on Friday night.
R&E, man, a huge win for those guys. A team that we said it the last couple of years, they've looked really good on offensively. When they play somebody good, they just can't get going. Defense stinks, can't get it going, whatever. They played really well Friday, man. A big win over Camden, a team that, they really controlled the game from the get-go. Like, they were never behind. They never trailed in that one. Really great win for Coach Walt Wilson. I know he was fired up before and after the game. Saw some videos of him and whatnot. But awesome win for that program, a team that I think we do have to take, very seriously now. That's a big win in 4A. We were talking on our poll that we didn't really know where we wanted to go after that kind of that 1, 2, 3 spot there last week. We're like, well, R&E is undefeated, but how good are they? I don't know. I think they just proved they're very good, Jerel, and they've got a real chance to be a deep contender here.
Most definitely. I think they cemented their status as a top 5 team in 4A, and good for them, man. That is fantastic. And it's more than just one player. It's not just Will Wilson. We see the numbers from the receivers every week. We see a defensive performance this week of holding Camden to 15 points. So it is a total team effort. Really excited for what those guys have. And then if you're Camden, kind of going back to the drawing board, like, how do you bounce back from this win? We know they're one of the best coached teams. They're one of the best performers that we've seen over the last few years, last few decades, honestly. And we know they're going to bounce back, but that was a fantastic football game. Talking about another one, though, that's Hartsville and Dillon. And this one also lived up to the billing. Hartsville is able to win this game 38-28. It's actually a 3-point game. Hartsville scored really, really late in this football game to make it that 10-point score line. But what a fantastic win for the Red Foxes.
Special teams, Jerel, Demarion Coe for Hartsville, 2 kickoff return touchdowns and a blocked field goal in that ball game. I mean, just an unreal performance for him. He's a speedster. We know that. He's a Super 75 guy for a reason. He can really get it done. We talk about the Hartsville offense every year, how dynamic they can be. And we kind of overlook special teams. They always tend to be good at that phase of the game as well. I think that game we saw last year against Irmo, I believe Coe ran one back in that ball game as well. So he's always a dangerous guy back there. On the Dillon side, not a bad performance. I mean, Hartsville is a class above you. You hang tough there. Robertson is a guy, a receiver that's kind of making some moves and starting to kind of show up a little bit, which could be a big piece for them later on in the season. I think the Wildcats are fine. Obviously, you want to win that ball game, but not a bad performance on their side. But Hartsville, that's a nice win after a tough loss to Camden a couple weeks back. Nice way to kind of get back in the win column, and another nice one on Friday night.
The next one, this was a big-time matchup in 5A. That's Somerville and Chapin. Somerville just flexed their muscles late in this one to pull away, winning 53-33. But Chapin put up a hell of a fight, to keep this game especially close in the first half. Really impressed with what we've seen from Chapin this first half of the season. Obviously, we think that Somerville is one of the top 3 teams in 5A, regardless of division. I mean, they are a very, very fantastic football team, and they got it done again this past Friday.
Blue Eagles came out firing. Like you said, they were right in that ball game there for a good part of the first half, even into the third quarter there. But Somerville, just too much firepower. Jaden Cummings, a huge game running and throwing for them. Coach Rafferty has those guys playing great football, and they kind of found out in a couple things second half they could work on and make some adjustments to stop that Chapin offense. I think Albro threw it probably close to 50, 60 times in that ball game, had 400 something passing yards. But I mean, that was their game plan. We're going to sling it around, and Somerville kind of adapted to that and it made life tough in the second half. So great win for the Green Wave. Not a bad showing from Chapin. Still got some work to do on their side, but really nice win for Somerville there.
Moving to our schsfb game of the week, in 8-man, we had Richard Wynn and Wardlaw. This is 2 teams that we expected to light up the scoreboard, and I know you're going to see 46 combined points and think, is that not lighting up the scoreboard? But not for these guys. They really get after it. You see the field being spaced. You see a lot of yards, a lot of points. And these ones, this was more of a defensive battle, but Richard Wynn, flex their muscles. They win this one 30-16 over Wardlaw in a fantastic football game.
Really tight ball game. Went to 8-8 going into half, which you hardly ever see. Like you said, an 8-man there, really low scoring, tight throughout the night. Richard Wynn's a little too much firepower. Interesting note here, Jerel, this was not considered a region matchup. So actually play later on at Richard Wynn. That will be the region contest to see who gets that higher seed and whatnot in the region placement there. But great win for the Eagles. Going on the road, Wardlaw, not an easy place to play. Colt Bailey, Charlie Bonds, those guys. That's a great matchup there at the quarterback spot. So fantastic matchup there. Great win for Richard Wynn.
Again, Arcona games of the week. Gaffney wins another game in overtime. They knock off Bowling Springs 28-22. Richland Northeast defeats Camden 26-15. We had Hartsville over Dillon 38-28. Somerville pulls away late against Chapin 53-33. And our Skeeza game of the week, we had Richard Wynn knocking off Wardlaw 30-16. Kevin, let's jump down to our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. Now, we started off kind of rough picking these HTC games, but business has picked up as of late, and we picked another thriller. This was a fantastic football game, back and forth throughout, but Andrews comes out on top over Waccamaw, winning this game 30-27. I think just too much Cumbie and Lee for Waccamaw to defend.
Certainly a game, you love to see it when a rivalry, matchup like this comes down to the wire, and especially when playmakers are making plays, like the big name guys. You got the great kids at Waccamaw making plays. You mentioned Lee and Cumbie for Andrews making the big time plays there. Awesome win for Coach Durham. I know they lost some last year, weren't really happy about the way it went down there. So huge win for the Yellow Jackets. I believe they're on the road in this matchup, coming up with a win against a bigger Waccamaw squad.
Most definitely. Again, that's our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. If you are down in Marion, Georgetown, or Horry counties, please reach out to our great friends at HTC. They will get you set up. Kevin, let's go to our Hannah Engineering Pick'em Contest games that we did not cover in our Kona games of the week. I had an abysmal showing, by the way, before we get into this. I'm so embarrassed that the next 2 days I'm just going to be thinking about the graphic here to make about how bad my Pick'em contest was. So even if you are self-proclaimed expert in high school football, you get humbled making these pick'em contests. So do it. I say it every week. I'll say it again. It's my favorite thing that we do. I'll be back next week. Definitely going to be a drop week for me. Hopefully. I hope I don't do worse than I did this week. But our first Hannah Engineering pick'em contest game was Greenwood and Hannah. Fantastic football game down at the Bab. Man, Greenwood might be for real. They knock off the Yellow Jackets 25-21. I mean, Tristan Lewis getting it done, but that defense is flying around the ball for Greenwood right now.
Awesome win for those guys. We talked about it. I think we started talking about it last year with Tristan Lewis and Greenwood, where they really kind of opened the offense up a little bit. They're throwing the ball a little bit more now that he's in at quarterback, and that's made a huge difference for them. Obviously they still got big, physical, strong guys, but they've got some other options now where they can sling it around a little bit when they need to. Just a great win there. They scored late, I think like 3:11, 3:15 left to take that lead on a touchdown pass from Lewis to Landon Still. So great win for Greenwood. Always a tough place to play there down at the Bab. So awesome for them to kind of protect their home field there, get that win. And they've really played some good football so far this year. A team we got to be, I think, be on the lookout for.
The next one, we had West Florence and Lugoff Elgin, and that West Florence defense has been suffocating this year. They win this game 28-7. Anytime you hold an offense, that's coached by Coach Leon Boulware there to 7 points, that is a fantastic showing. But West Florence gets it done, and just a convincing matter on Friday night.
Big time win. West Florence is a team that we've been kind of high on, but just haven't played the stiffest competition yet. They lost by 7 to South Florence for week 0. Come back, they beat Myrtle Beach. Haven't really played anybody since then. We thought Lugoff Elgin would be a pretty good test for them, but man, that defense was just locked down on Friday night. You mentioned Jerel, Coach Boulware and the boys at Lugoff Elgin have been scoring a lot of points lately. West Florence did a great job, shutting them down, and they're a team that I think may lack a little bit of explosiveness on offense compared to what they've had in the past, but that defense will keep them in any ball game, it feels like.
Speaking of defensive performances, we had another one up here in the upstate. That was Dorman and Riverside. Riverside has been throwing the ball all over the field and putting up points at will, but they were unable to do so against the Dorman Cavaliers. They fall 24-13. Dorman just finding ways to win early in the season. Coach Morris and his staff have done a fantastic job. Holding that Riverside team to 13 points is fantastic, and that's a heck of a way, to kick off region play for those guys.
They're playing great football, Trill. I mean, that's all there is to it. They've lost one game. That was to Grayson from Georgia. Other than that, they beat Greenwood, over a team we just talked about. They beat Greenville. They've won a lot of nice football games so far. A team that is just flying under the radar. Feels like just taking care of business. Like, obviously, when you get into region play here in Region 2-5A, you can't fly on the radar anymore. People are going to know who you are, and they've got a big matchup with Burns this week. But, yeah, Coach Morris and the boys, great job on defense. That Riverside offense is putting up, 30, 40-plus each week. Holding them to 13 was super impressive on Friday night.
It's crazy to say Dorman's been flying under the radar. Well,
right.
Not anymore. They will definitely have the attention of everyone, especially us here at Moving the Chains. Moving to our next game was North Augusta and Gilbert. This one got out of hand. North Augusta could not score last week, but they were able to do so here. They win 37-14. Obviously, the backfield must be doing okay if they were able to put up these types of numbers.
I think, to me, this is one of the more impressive wins of the week, Jerel. Just coming off what we saw last week, scoring 14 against Strom Thurmond, having the injuries they had. Obviously we had heard the guys were going to be back. We're still like, man, I just don't know if they're full strength. We don't know. You're going to Gilbert, a tough place to play. Like, they really get it done at home a lot of the times, man. But that was a super, super impressive victory for me, a non-competitive football game. Tillman and Doe and those guys, they were so electric, and it's just like they got it going on Friday night. And the defense, too. I was impressed with those guys last week on defense for the Yellow Jackets, and another strong showing holding a pretty solid Gilbert offense to 14.
You were impressed with that previous game. I'm very impressed with this one, and that's Fairfield Central knocking off Newberry. They win this game 49-42. Coach Davis's bunch is doing fantastic things right now. The Griffins are for real. That's a tough one for Newberry in back-to-back weeks, but what a fantastic performance by Fairfield Central here.
They've now stacked back-to-back very nice wins on the board here, beating Louisville last week, now backing it up with a nice win over Newberry, a team that we're high on both those teams, Louisville and Newberry, to beat them both back-to-back weeks. Very impressive there. Coach Davis has the guys playing some good football. Tadarian Greer is a great athlete there. They're a team in 2A that I think is being overlooked and not be able to for much longer, doesn't seem like.
Not at all. I think that's 4 in a row. I think their only defeat was week 0. I think they lost to Ridgeview. Other than that, they've been fantastic this year. So top-notch victory for those guys. And our final game, was Woodland and Bamberg. Woodland wins this game 25-20. This is another one of the many that I had wrong this week. I thought Bamberg was going to be able to win this football game, but that is an impressive performance by Woodland on Friday.
Coach Ford's bunch, 4-0 in the year, man, playing good football right now. Another team that's kind of a weird area where they kind of don't get talked about a whole lot, and I think that's somewhat on us, I could say. But they're going to make us talk about them here throughout the season. It feels like that they've got a good group going. I think Bamberg had a lead here early in this ball game. Woodland kind of just snuffs that out, plays good football, and they stay undefeated, and they're playing good ball right now.
That's the thing, too. You talk about Woodland. We got to actually see them play a couple years ago under Coach Ford. They've lost so much talent. They've lost D1 talent over the last 2 years, and they're still playing fantastic football. So that's a testament to building a program as opposed to having a team. Again, our Hannah Engineering Pick'em contest games, we had Greenwood defeating Hannah 25-21, West Florence over Lugoff Elgin 28-7, Dorman defeats Riverside 24-13, North Augusta over Gilbert 37-14, Fairfield Central upsets Newberry. I'll say it as an upset. They win that game 49-42, and Woodland over Bamberg 25-20.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, KONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Time for stock up, stock down now, Jerel. On the stock up side, some teams that impressed us and really made us feel good about them is couple I've got, Bluffton, the Bobcats. Nice one over Lucy Beckham. Not really a blowout there for those guys. And then Rock Hill, a nice win over Clover. We thought they had a chance in this ball game. Great win for Coach Birch and the boys.
Yeah, we talked about Greenwood. We just talked about them in our Pick'em contest games. It's another fantastic win for those guys. Getting done in multiple ways, actually opening up that offense. So that's fantastic. And then Wando, I think they moved to 3-2 on the year. It's another great win for them. They really seem to be building some momentum after a few years where that program's really been down.
Westwood, they get a win on a game that gets moved up to, I believe, 6 o'clock on Friday. They take care of business 7-0 over Blythewood. Beat a rival there. Blythewood was undefeated, so great win there for Westwood. And then Porter Gal, the Holy War, they hammered a good Bishop England team, a team that we've been high on lately. Great win for the Cyclones. Awesome win for Porter Gal there in J.J. Flood and those boys.
Again, we just talked about R&E's, another team that we definitely have to have on stock up. A team that we don't get to talk about as much because they're so far away from us in geography, but that's Hilton Head Island. Another fantastic win this Friday. I think they're stacking them. I think they've won 4 games already this season. And then going to South Point. This is a team that I've been really high on this year, but South Point has performed outstanding. Seem to get that offense going too. We know how good the defense is.
West Side, the Rams. I mean, they just keep taking on all challengers. They get Prince Ave out of Georgia this week, beat those guys, score late to win that ball game. Cutter Woods and the offense are just putting up unreal numbers right now. Great win for Coach Lane's squad. MVP, Mountain View Prep. They play a team at North Carolina Christ School. Hammer those boys. Coach Ramsey has those guys on a roll, and we just mentioned them as well. Fairfield Central, nice win over Newberry on Friday night as well.
2 more I've got. I got Chester. I think they destroyed Union County. I mean, this game wasn't close. Got the quarterback back. So
that's why they're stock up right there, Drew.
So don't be surprised if you see them all of a sudden in the top 5 in the Movin The Chains poll this week. But the health of Trooper Taylor there.
Trooper Floyd.
Why did I say Trooper Taylor? Think about the old Auburn days waving the towel. Sorry, Coach Floyd and Trooper. I apologize for that. But yeah, Chester is a team that is ascending quickly. And then Dorman. We mentioned them being under the radar. Not anymore. They are stock up. They're definitely going to make some noise. I think they're going to be in contention for that number 2 spot. I still think Gaffney wins that region, but I think they're going to be in strong contention to host a playoff game.
Liberty putting up, I think, 70-plus against Walhalla on Friday. Great win there for the Flame. HKT, a nice win over Lake Marion, a team that had just knocked off Cross recently as well. Then a couple SCISA schools. Dorchester Academy, they take down Beaufort 16-6. And then congrats to Coach Tymer Zimmerman and the Heathwood Hall Highlanders. He gets his first win there as they knock off a really good Cardinal Newman team. Late touchdown run there. Great win for Heathwood Hall and Coach Zimmerman. Anybody else on stock up for you, Jerel?
That's all I got. Stock up. Let's do stock down.
Perfect. Stock down. I'll start with Riverside. Not just that they got beat by Dorman, just the fact that the offense just didn't seem to show up. That would be kind of been their calling card so far this year. Did not play well, getting held to 13 points on Friday.
Yeah, for sure. I've got Newberry. I could overlook the loss last week, obviously playing a couple classes up against Chapin, but then falling to Fairfield Central, who's a class below. That's 2 consecutive losses. Let's just hope that it does not spiral for Coach Jeter's bunch there.
Timberland, man, did not play well against Hanahan. Hanahan breaking that freshman quarterback, and the Hawks still put it to them pretty good. And then Dixie, a team that was undefeated, they take on the Anderson Cavaliers and take their first loss on Friday night.
Yeah, and I think we had Gilbert as well. The team we've already talked about this during this program.
Gilbert with the loss. And then one more, Orangeburg Wilkinson, a team that, had kind of been flirting with getting into our poll. Like, do we put them in there? Do we not put them in there? Had some nice wins. Did not look good on Friday night. Tough loss there for the Bruins. Jerel, any other stock down for you this week before we look at Players of the Week?
That is it.
Perfect. Let's look now at our Players of the Week, brought to you by the Georgia Agency, guys. You can send us your nominations on Facebook or Twitter/X, even email, Instagram, whatever's better for you. Shoot them over to us. We see as many different stat lines as we can, but we miss a few every week, I'm sure. So definitely get them over to us. We'll definitely mention them on the show. We'll certainly shout them out. That's what we always say. If you give us a stat line, we're going to shout it out. So get it over to us, Jerel. Who were some of the nominations that we had, and then we'll kind of get our Players of the Week here at the end.
Jumping into the nominees, we have Noel Sitton from Greer, had 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, 43 yards, in their big win over Berea. Cam McMillan, the signal caller from South Point, goes 18 of 24 for 253 and 4 touchdowns. Had Jaden Folks of Saluda, had 2 picks as well, 1 return for a touchdown. talking about that entire Gaffney defense. Kevin, we looked at each other during the second half of that game with the score being tied at 22, and we're like, man, if this goes into overtime, advantage Gaffney, because this defense has played so great, and there's no way they're going to give up a score inside the 10. Grayson Clary, the sophomore quarterback of Daniel, goes 15 of 18 for 299 and 4 touchdowns in their huge win over Clinton. We have Jamarcus Smith, the Gaffney athlete, we'll call him. He had a receiving touchdown, a kickoff return touchdown, and a rushing TD. Came in as the relief quarterback in the Gaffney Indians' big-time win over Bowling Springs. Jamarcus really got it done. We had Jaden Cummings of Somerville, goes 19 of 25 for 305, 3 touchdowns. Also had 10 totes for 90 yards and another touchdown in their big-time win over Chapin, handing them their first defeat on the year. Katie Hainsworth of MVP continues to get it done, goes 6 catches for 153, 3 touchdowns. Also had a kickoff return touchdown in their big win over Asheville School. Trooper Floyd got it right that time. This Chester quarterback goes 200 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Also had 65 rushing yards, all in the first half in their big-time win over rival Union County. Tristan Lewis, the quarterback of Greenwood, goes 8 of 19 for 164 and a touchdown. Also had 17 carries for 118 and 2 more touchdowns in their victory over TL Hanna. Colby Richardson of PD goes 11 of 14 for 202, 4 TDs, 5 rushes for 138, 2 TDs, a pick, and 2 tackles on defense. Golden Eagles getting it done with Colby and the boys. Ethan Shipman of Louisville has 8 pancakes, 98% graded out, and also had a sack on defense as they defeated AJ 27-3. Javon Edwards, the stud running back of South Aiken, goes 37 carries for 258, 3 touchdowns. Also had a catch for 18 yards. Kobe Fuller of Burns goes 9 rushes for 112, 4 TDs, and a catch for 39 yards and another touchdown. Fantastic for Kobe as they win their first game against Wade Hampton this year. Got Brady Albro, quarterback of Chapin, goes 425 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Colt Bailey of Wardlaw goes 3 of 9 for 31 yards and a touchdown, but also has 34 carries for 300 yards and a touchdown in their last, their defeat this season, their first defeat, against Richard Wynn. Yeah, that's it.
Long list as always. Great list of nominees there. But now time for our players of the week. Our 3 selections for this week. The first one, Demarion Coe from Hartsville, has 2 kickoff return touchdowns, a 75 and a 74-yarder, an interception, a blocked field goal, a forced fumble, and 6 tackles. Huge game for Demarion there in that win over Dillon. We then have Aiden Gibson, the young running back at Woodruff, goes 31 carries for 221 and 5 touchdowns. And the third one here, a name that you guys have heard us say a lot over the last couple of years, that's Finley Polk at Northwestern, goes 18 for 20, 336, 3 touchdowns through the air, 56 yards on the ground, and another touchdown rushing for Finley. Congrats to Aiden Gibson, Finley Polk, and Demarion Coe on being our Week 4 Players of the Week, brought to you by the Georgia Agency. As always, guys, shoot us those stats each and every week. Love to give these guys a shout-out on the program. One note I've got here, Jerel, and it actually involves one of our Players of the Week we just had there, and that is Demarion Coe. He broke the kickoff return record for Hartsville with 9 in his career now. He's got 4 already this season, so could set that record a little bit higher, maybe even out of reach here before the season is over. Any other thoughts on the Players of the Week or the notes section from you, Jerel, before we get to the next part of our program?
I mean, that's just incredible stuff from Demarion. I mean, he single-handedly just changed that game with it really being only a 3-point game, getting it done, especially with the special teams there. Gibson, you called him young, but that's a grown man. We saw him play in Week 0. He is going to be a special player, terrorizing, the football fields around South Carolina for the next 2 years because he's only a sophomore. And Finley Polk, kind of like Turbo Richard. We see Turbo Richard doing big things for Boston College. People kept talking about how long has he been in school. Finley feels like the same way, man. He's been just lighting up scoreboards for so many years now, but excited for him to win Player of the Week this week as well.
The Georgia Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgiaagency.net. That's thegeorgiaagency.net. Folly Row question time, Jerel. What do you got for us this week as we wrap up the program?
Easy yet difficult at the same time. Our food review Fridays have quite an impression on the viewers and listeners around this state. But I have to ask you this. I basically know what it is because we've covered so many games together. But I'm going to throw it out there so everyone else can know what it is. What is your go-to concession order? Just your standard order. Obviously, we have a little bit of flair here and there. You can get some fried fish down in Sumter. You can get a bologna sandwich in Strom-Thurmond. You can do crazy stuff at different places. But what's your go-to order each and every week?
Okay, so I'm a big hot dog guy with chili, ketchup, mustard, and chili if possible. If they've got cheese as an option, I usually go with it. But I mean, most places don't have cheese. So really, I'd say hot dog, chili, ketchup, mustard is kind of the go-to there. On the drink, typically a Coke. If they got cherry Coke, we're definitely going cherry Coke. But usually, if they just have Coke, sometimes the Dr. Pepper, if I want to switch up a little bit, but usually just a hot dog, ketchup, chili, mustard, a Coke. And then if I'm feeling real frisky, get some peanut M&Ms for a little candy there as well.
Here we go.
Little peanut M&Ms. And that some games when it's a blowout or maybe it just takes a long time, we get two. We have to run it back to the concession stand a second time, maybe some popcorn. We'll see. But always hot dog, ketchup, chili, mustard, a Coke is always the go-to.
I'm disappointed you didn't mention the wild card. You're always a big ice cream guy.
If you got ice cream up there, give me that. Ren had the
always.
ice cream sandwich. That was great. I think Greer has those as well. Another great call.
You've gotten older. You no longer get the pickle. Everyone's got the pickles now. The kids love them. That's a Kevin Thomas tidbit. Maybe you shouldn't have said that on air, but big pickle guy.
I'll tell you the issue, with the pickles these days for us, Jerel, is I feel like the last couple of years we've gotten more and more where we're not sitting in the stands as much. We're doing more stuff on the field. And
Sure.
I don't got so many hands in pockets. Like I don't want to put a pickle in my pocket, man. We're gonna have pickle juice running down my leg. I don't want that.
Let me stop before this takes a complete left turn. That is so funny. Oh, that is a great point, though. For me, it's easy. Every week, gotta have at least one hot dog with chili, mustard, and ketchup. Keep it basic, keep it standard, so I can give a correct score. Gonna go with a blue Powerade every time. I will take a Gatorade if you have it, but most schools have Coke products, so we're going blue Powerade. And then some sort of sour candy every single time to balance things out. We're either going, Airhead Extremes seem to be the most popular, but if you got Sour Punch straws, extra points on the concessions. But those are my three items that are usually in every concession, regardless of where we go. Concession stand, regardless of where we go. But I do love unique items. Like I scored that bologna sandwich high. Mm-hmm. I still get upset about not getting the fried fish at Sumter. I mean, they had like shrimp tacos at Camden, I want to say, one time. So if you've got a unique item, I'm usually going to try that as well. So those are my go-tos.
Yeah, we'll find a way to eat them both. We'll just make room in our tummy for that if we got to. If it's something good like that, for sure.
Most definitely.
Always some good stuff, man. But yeah, great question there, Jerel. I hope you folks enjoy our food review Fridays. I think most folks do. So we try to give an honest review. I feel like hot dog is kind of the go-to for most folks at a concession stand. So that's why I kind of go with that. So definitely let us know what you guys like. If you go to a school that has a crazy menu, let us hear about that as well. We talked about the fried fish. You mentioned bologna. We've had some funnel cakes here and there. Some weird stuff, some ice cream stuff. But let us know what you guys think is one of the best ones around, and we'll definitely give you our thoughts as well. But another great show, Jerel. If you guys have not tuned in before, we really appreciate you doing so. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, more at Movin Chains. Website, movinchains.com. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show live on Facebook and YouTube about 7:15 on Tuesday nights. Our recap show comes out here on Sundays on our podcast platforms. We do coach interviews, players of the week, food reviews, stock up, stock down, our polls, lots of great stuff on social media throughout the week as well. Definitely check us out on all of those platforms. We got, like I said earlier, a great interview coming out this week from one of the wildest games of week 4. So that'll be a lot of fun to check out. But Joe, any final thoughts from you here on week 4 before we wrap up this recap show?
I'll tell you this, man. I've been thinking about it. I thought last week was Friday the 13th, man. We had some crazy stuff go on this particular week. We had some people win that we did not expect. Yours truly was humbled in the pick'em contest this week because there were some things that I didn't see happening, but it was still just a fantastic of football around the state of South Carolina. Just so much fun. Excited about this week. I know it's going to be a little bit lighter, so we'll get into that on Tuesday. Just want to thank all the fine folks at Bowling Springs. Nothing but hospitable there. Hate that we did not get to catch up with Coach Real after the game, but sometimes it happens. However, we did get to speak with Coach Dan Jones. That was a pleasure. Also got to talk to Jamarcus Smith. So please go check out those interviews with those fine gentlemen if you have the time. And again, I'm going to say it every platform I'm on. YouTube, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's lacking behind the others. You guys have heard me, so people are starting to subscribe there. Even if you don't use it, just hit that subscribe button for your guys. That's all I'm going to ask of you to do. Good show, Kev. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. A great point there. Shout out to Coach Real and Coach Moxie at Bowling Springs. Thank you guys for having us there. A lot of great folks on the Gaffney side. We know Chris Blanton and a lot of their coaching staff as well. Great to see some of those guys. See some folks from Bowling Springs as well. It's a lot of fun. So as always, if you see us out at a ball game, come say, hey, man, we'd love to talk ball with you. It's always a joy to catch up with folks who care about high school football like we do. So that's always a lot of fun. I did forget, get your merch, your hats, your shirts, your hoodies, your toboggans, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter/X, Facebook, whatever. Order your merch, support the boys. Love to have you guys helping us make the show bigger and better. But for Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our Week 4 Volley Row Recap Show, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.